Open your freezer right now and look at what's in there. That frozen dinner you grabbed last week because you didn't have time to cook? According to medical experts at Cleveland Clinic, it might contain more sodium in a single serving than you should eat in an entire day. And it's not just about salt. According to research compiled by GoodRx and Verywell Health, the worst frozen meals on the market combine excessive sodium, added sugars, unhealthy fats, and ultra-processed ingredients in ways that doctors specifically warn their own families against eating. But here's what makes this dangerous. Frozen foods are marketed as convenient solutions for busy families. The packaging shows wholesome ingredients and balanced meals, and millions of people assume that if something is sold at Target or Costco, it must be reasonably safe to eat regularly. Frozen meal number 2 is the one that doctors see in their patients' shopping carts all the time. And it's one of the first things they tell people to eliminate when addressing high blood pressure or metabolic issues. Food number 10, frozen breakfast sandwiches. This is the one wrapped in paper with sausage, egg, and cheese on a biscuit or English muffin. It's marketed as a quick protein-packed breakfast you can microwave in under a minute. The label suggests convenience, protein, a decent morning meal. But according to Cleveland Clinic's guidance on frozen meals, breakfast sandwiches are often loaded with sodium, 600 to 900 milligrams per sandwich, saturated fat from processed meats and cheese, and refined carbohydrates from white bread. The evidence shows these sandwiches typically contain highly processed sausage or bacon with preservatives like nitrates, cheese products, not real cheese, and bread that's been formulated for freezing rather than nutrition. A single sandwich can contain 400 to 500 calories, mostly from fat and refined carbs, with minimal fiber or micronutrients. So what is this? You think you're getting a protein breakfast, but you're actually consuming nearly half a day's sodium limit and a significant portion of your saturated fat allowance before you even get to work. And the blood sugar spike from the refined bread means you'll be hungry again by mid-morning. Bottom line, these sandwiches prioritize speed over nutrition. You'd get better results from scrambling eggs yourself, but at least breakfast sandwiches are obviously processed. The next category hides behind health claim: food. Number 9, light or lean frozen dinners. This is the one in the green or blue box with words like lean, light, or healthy choice printed prominently. It's positioned as a diet-friendly option with controlled portions and fewer calories. The claim is weight management, portion control, a smarter choice. But according to GoodRx, when manufacturers reduce calories in frozen meals, they often compensate by reducing portion size to almost comically small amounts while keeping sodium levels high to maintain flavor. The evidence shows that these light meals often contain 250 to 350 calories per serving, not enough to be a satisfying meal for most adults. Meanwhile, sodium content can still reach 600 to 800 milligrams, and the small portions are so unsatisfying that people often eat 2 meals or supplement with snacks, defeating the entire purpose. Verywell Health points out that these meals frequently lack adequate protein and fiber, which means they don't keep you full. The portion might be light, but you're still getting all the sodium and processed ingredients of a regular frozen meal, just in a smaller, less satisfying package. The real impact? You're hungry. An hour later, you end up eating more total calories throughout the day, and you've still consumed excessive sodium. The light label is doing all the work while the actual meal fails at its stated purpose. Verdict: smaller portions of the same problematic ingredients don't solve the fundamental issues. And this brings us to the category where sodium levels start getting truly dangerous. Food number 8, frozen pizza, especially deep dish and stuffed crust. This is the one that comes in the large box with pictures of melted cheese and pepperoni. It's marketed as easy family dinner, a crowd pleaser, something everyone will eat without complaining. The label suggests shareable meal, family favorite, quick dinner solution. But according to Eat This Not That, frozen pizzas, especially deep dish and stuffed crust varieties, can contain 700 to 1,200 milligrams of sodium per serving, and the serving size listed on the box is often half a pizza or less, which nobody actually follows. The evidence is brutal. A full frozen pizza can easily contain 2,000 to 3,000 milligrams of sodium, more than a full day's recommended maximum, 60 to 80 grams of carbohydrates from refined white flour, and substantial saturated fat from cheese and processed meat. According to Cleveland Clinic, the combination of refined carbs, excessive sodium, and saturated fat makes frozen pizza one of the worst regular meal choices for cardiovascular health. Here's the reality check. If you eat half a large frozen pizza, which is a normal amount for one hungry person, you've just consumed more than a day's worth of sodium, minimal protein, virtually no vegetables, and enough refined carbs to send your blood sugar on a roller coaster. Bottom line, frozen pizza is engineered to be addictive and convenient, not nutritious. Doctors who understand sodium's impact on blood pressure won't keep this in their freezers, but at least pizza is obviously indulgent. The next product pretends to be a balanced meal. Eat food number 7, frozen pot pies. This is the one in the foil tin or cardboard sleeve with pictures of golden crust and hearty filling. It's positioned as comfort food, a complete meal, something wholesome and filling. The claim is home-style cooking, complete nutrition, satisfying comfort meal. But according to GoodRx and Cleveland Clinic, frozen pot pies are nutritional disasters, high in sodium, often 1,000 to 1,400 milligrams per pie, loaded with saturated fat from the pastry crust and cream-based filling, and packed with refined carbohydrates. The evidence shows that a single pot pie can contain 600 to 800 calories, with most of those calories coming from the buttery crust and fatty filling. The vegetables are minimal and overcooked. The protein is often processed chicken or turkey in a cream sauce thickened with flour, and the sodium content can exceed 60% of your daily limit in one meal. Well Health specifically warns that pot pies combine multiple problematic elements: refined flour crust, cream-based sauces loaded with sodium, minimal actual vegetables, and portion sizes large enough to be calorically excessive while being nutritionally empty. So what is this? You think you're eating a complete, satisfying meal. In reality, you're consuming extreme amounts of sodium and saturated fat with minimal nutritional value. And doctors who treat patients for high blood pressure and heart disease see the direct impact of meals like this. Verdict: the comfort is real, but so is the cardiovascular strain. And now we're entering the top half of the list where the problems become even more severe. And food number 6, frozen fried chicken or breaded chicken products. This is the one in the bag with breaded chicken tenders, nuggets, or fried chicken pieces. It's marketed as easy protein, kid-friendly, a versatile ingredient for quick meals. The label suggests protein-rich, convenient, family-approved, but according to Eat This Not That, frozen breaded chicken products are typically deep-fried before freezing, then reheated in your oven or microwave, meaning you're getting all the saturated fat and calories of fried food, even though you're baking it at home. The evidence shows these products are heavily processed. The chicken is often mechanically separated or formed from smaller pieces, breaded with refined flour and additives, pre-fried in cheap oils, and loaded with sodium, 500 to 800 milligrams per serving. According to Cleveland Clinic's guidance, the breading to chicken ratio is often so skewed that you're eating more fried coating than actual protein. Here's the reality. Doctors who understand that deep-fried foods contribute to inflammation, cardiovascular disease, and metabolic issues don't buy pre-fried frozen chicken. The convenience isn't worth the health impact, especially when the same time investment could produce grilled or baked chicken with a fraction of the problem. Bottom line, pre-fried frozen chicken is fried food pretending to be a home-cooked meal. The oven reheating doesn't undo the damage from the deep fryer. But this is just about frying methods. The next category combines multiple problems simultaneously. Food number 5, frozen pasta dishes with cream or cheese sauces. This is the one featuring fettuccine alfredo, a mac and cheese or lasagna. It's positioned as Italian comfort food, family-style eating, a hearty, satisfying meal. The claim is restaurant-quality pasta, rich and satisfying, complete meal. But according to Eat This Not That and GoodRx, frozen pasta dishes with cream-based sauces are among the worst frozen foods for cardiovascular health, combining excessive sodium, often 1,200 to 1,600 milligrams per serving, high saturated fat from cream and cheese, and massive portions of refined pasta. The evidence is damning. A single serving of frozen fettuccine alfredo can contain 800 to 1,000 calories, 50 to 60 grams of fat, much of it saturated, and enough sodium to exceed your daily limit. The cream sauce is typically made with cheap oils, milk powder, and thickeners rather than real cream, and the pasta is refined white flour with zero fiber. Cleveland Clinic specifically warns against cream-based frozen meals because they combine the cardiovascular risks of high sodium with the metabolic risks of saturated fat and refined carbohydrates. This is the exact combination that contributes to high blood pressure, elevated cholesterol, and insulin resistance. The so what is brutal? You think you're treating yourself to comfort food. Doctors see you slowly damaging your cardiovascular system with every microwave reheated serving. Verdict: frozen Alfredo is a heart attack in a plastic tray. That's not hyperbole, that's medical perspective. And the top 4 are even worse because they specifically target vulnerable consumers. Food number 4, frozen Asian style. Entrees: orange chicken, sweet and sour, General Tso's. This is the one with breaded chicken and bright orange or red sauce, often labeled as Asian-inspired or restaurant style. It's positioned as takeout alternative flavorful meal, better value than delivery. The label suggests authentic flavor, protein-rich restaurant experience at home. But according to Eat This Not That, frozen Asian-style entrees are sugar and sodium bombs disguised as ethnic cuisine. A single serving can contain 1,000 to 1,500 milligrams of sodium and 30 to 40 grams of sugar. The evidence shows these meals combine the worst of multiple categories. Deep-fried breaded chicken, pre-fried before freezing, sauces made with high fructose corn syrup and massive amounts of sodium, and white rice that adds refined carbohydrates with zero nutritional value. According to GoodRx, the sugar content in the sauce alone can exceed what you'd find in a can of soda. On Very Well Health points out that these products take cuisines that can be healthy, Asian food with vegetables, lean proteins, and balanced flavors, and turn them into ultra-processed junk food. The orange chicken bears no resemblance to actual Chinese cooking. It's American fast food that happens to use Asian flavor profiles. The real impact? You're eating fried chicken covered in sugar syrup with enough sodium to spike your blood pressure, all while thinking you're getting a balanced meal because the package shows vegetables, which are minimal in the actual product. Bottom line, these meals are engineered for addictive flavor, not nutrition. Doctors who understand metabolic health won't touch them. And now we're down to the final three, the frozen foods that doctors consider the absolute worst. In food number 3, frozen burritos and chimichangas. This is the one wrapped in foil or plastic, often sold in multi-packs at discount prices. It's positioned as quick lunch, portable meal, budget-friendly option. The claim is complete meal, protein and carbs, satisfying and filling. But according to Cleveland Clinic and Eat This Not That, frozen burritos are sodium nightmares, often containing 1,000 to 1,500 milligrams of sodium per burrito, along with processed meats, cheese products, refined flour tortillas, and refried beans loaded with lard or cheap oils. The evidence shows that a single frozen burrito can pack 600 to 800 calories, more than half a day's sodium, substantial saturated fat, and minimal actual nutrition. The beef is often highly processed with fillers and binders. The cheese is processed cheese product, and the beans are refried in hydrogenated oils. GoodRx specifically warns that frozen burritos combine multiple cardiovascular risk factors: excessive sodium, saturated fat, refined carbohydrates, and ultra-processed meats. This is the exact formula that doctors see contributing to hypertension, elevated cholesterol, and metabolic syndrome. Here's the reality check. Budget shoppers buy these in bulk because they're cheap and filling. But doctors who treat low-income patients for preventable chronic diseases see the direct connection between regular consumption of these products and serious health issues. Bottom line, frozen burritos are poverty food that creates rich person diseases. The price is low, but the health cost is enormous. But even burritos acknowledge they're indulgent. The next category lies about being balanced. Food number 2, complete frozen dinners with multiple components. This is the one in the divided tray with an entree, side vegetables, and a dessert. It's marketed as balanced meal, all food groups included, convenient complete dinner. The label suggests nutritional balance, variety, a proper meal. But according to GoodRx and Very Well Health, these multi-compartment frozen dinners are among the most deceptive products in the freezer aisle, using tiny portions of vegetables to create the illusion of balance while loading the entree with sodium, sugar, and saturated fat. The evidence is clear. These dinners often contain 1,200 to 1,800 milligrams of sodium spread across all components, with the vegetables swimming in butter or cream sauce, the entree dripping with gravy or cheese, and the dessert adding 20 to 30 grams of sugar. According to Cleveland Clinic, the balanced meal claim is pure marketing. The vegetable portion might be 2 tablespoons of green beans, while the entree is fried chicken or meatloaf with gravy. Eat This Not That specifically calls out these dinners because they exploit people's desire to eat balanced meal. The compartmentalized tray makes it look like you're getting vegetables, protein, and starch in reasonable proportion. In reality, you're getting ultra-processed versions of all three, with the vegetables being the smallest and most nutritionally compromised component. So what is this? Doctors see patients who genuinely believe they're eating balanced dinners because the tray has multiple compartments. Meanwhile, they're consuming restaurant-level sodium, saturated fat, and calories in a product marketed as home cooking. Verdict: the divided tray is theater. The nutritional profile is disaster. And now we've reached number 1, the frozen food that doctors consider the absolute worst. Food. Number 1, frozen meals. Marketed to children, kids' dinners, character-branded meals. This is it, the absolute worst. The one in colorful packaging with cartoon characters, shaped nuggets, and desserts included. It's marketed directly to children and positioned to parents as convenient kid-friendly meals. The label suggests fun food kids will eat, balanced nutrition, parental convenience. But according to every source, Cleveland Cleveland Clinic, Good ERX, Very Well Health, and Eat This Not That, frozen kids' meals are nutritional disasters specifically engineered to create lifelong processed food preferences in developing bodies. The evidence is devastating across every metric. These meals typically contain highly processed chicken nuggets, mechanically separated meat, breaded and deep fried, macaroni and cheese made with cheese powder and refined pasta, fruit snacks or pudding desserts loaded with sugar, and sodium levels that can reach 800 to 1,200 milligrams per meal, which is catastrophically high for a child's smaller body and developing cardiovascular system. According to Cleveland Clinic, these products are specifically designed to hit children's pleasure receptors with combinations of salt, sugar, and fat that create preference patterns lasting into adulthood. Kids who eat these regularly learn to expect food to taste hyperpalatable and reject vegetables, whole grains, and less processed options. A Very Well Health points out the cruel irony. These meals are marketed to busy parents who feel guilty about not having time to cook, positioning themselves as good enough nutrition when they're actively harmful to children's development. The cartoon characters, the fun shapes, the colorful packaging, it's all designed to make kids beg for these meals and make parents feel like they're being reasonable by buying them. GoodRx specifically warns that feeding children high sodium, high sugar, ultra-processed meals regularly during their formative years sets them up for obesity, hypertension, metabolic issues, and chronic disease in adulthood. This isn't about occasional convenience. This is about creating future patients. So it is generational and heartbreaking. Parents trying to do their best in impossible circumstances are being sold products that actively harm their children's health. The companies making these meals know they're targeting developing bodies. They know the sodium levels are inappropriate for children. They know the sugar content trains taste preferences, and they do it anyway because the profit margins are enormous and the regulation is minimal. Bottom line, doctors who understand pediatric nutrition and long-term health outcomes will never feed these to their own children. If you're buying frozen kids' meals regularly, you're not providing convenience. You're outsourcing your child's nutrition to companies that profit from creating future chronic disease patients. Outrow bottom line, the frozen food aisle is designed for profit, not health. The products that are cheapest, most convenient, and most heavily marketed are the ones that doctors specifically warn against because they understand the long-term cardiovascular and metabolic consequences of eating this way regularly. You don't need to eliminate frozen food entirely, but you do need to understand that most frozen meals are engineered to be addictive and convenient while being nutritionally catastrophic. The sodium alone disqualifies most of them from regular consumption. So here's my question. What frozen meals are currently in your freezer? Comment honestly, and let's talk about whether they're in the occasional convenience category or the regular meal category, because that distinction matters for your health. If this video changed how you look at frozen dinners, hit subscribe. Tomorrow we're exposing protein bar brands that nutritionists say are basically candy, and trust me, the marketing deception is exactly the same. See you then.